All right, I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to show results, which sounds super hard and edgy and angsty, but that's kind of a thing. Um, I have been a little busy the past week. Some of you might have remembered if you saw the vlog last week that I was traveling. I went down to the Founders Conference in Southwest Florida, which is very not where I am from. And so as a result of that, I was working the conference. They had me monitoring the Spanish live stream, and so I was just making sure everything ran smoothly on that end. Unfortunately, there was a hiccup or two. Totally my fault, but we're fine. Everything went fine. Just, volume didn't pan appropriately or whatever. It was fixed immediately. The conference was good. I wish I knew what was going on, but I don't speak Spanish, so I didn't understand a word being said the whole time. Anyway, I got back Saturday night at like 11 p.m. So there was no video last week. I tried to make a video like Sunday and Monday to be put out, but then all kinds of busyness happened that I won't get into, and it just didn't happen, and I opted, you know what, let's just do one video covering 2 weeks. Yeah, it's breaking the pattern, but we're restarting, sort of, and we can get going on this. So what did I work on? Well, unfortunately, I dropped the resin miniature last week that I was working on, and it shattered into, like, every single limb broke. And I still can't find a leg. And so that's the problem with resin, is that it's very fragile. If you, like, drop it on the ground from, 5'10" or whatever, 5'10" inches off the ground, and it's small, it's gonna break, it's gonna fracture. That's just a thing. I've done that so many times, and unfortunately my room is an absolute mess still. So, like, there is stuff everywhere. I have nowhere to put anything. It's really obnoxious, and I was not happy that happened. But as a result, because my 3D printer doesn't have a functional bed, I was working on my Age of Sigmar miniatures, trying to get my Wood Elves made into an actual army, because I'm only really missing like a couple of units to have a full fieldable army. And that will be fun for me once I'm actually able to go to the Warhammer night at the local game store. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, what did I work on? Well, a lot of stuff. Here and there throughout the little various bits and pieces, I did like little small things. On the project that I was working full force on, I fragmented one kingdom on the map. If you look in the center here, there is this kingdom, or what, I can't remember what exactly it is off the top of my head, called Aircore. You also have a bunch of smaller areas around with Ayeli, the Grand Duchy of Gumen, and Rorestia. Aircore was much larger. It was originally covering Ayeli and Rorestia, but I opted to fragment Aircore up. And the reason why I did that is because all of these individual little sections, the Viceroyalty of Rorestia and the marshes of Ailelian, whatever. I just let it randomly generate. These names are not final. But I put these up because I thought it would be important to have them like distinguished from each other for potential actual game story stuff. The marshes of the Oceanuriate, or whatever it is, marshes, and the Protectorate are also sort of a part of this kingdom, and I thought the Grand Duchy of Gumen would be a part of this. So this whole thing of Aircore actually covers 6 different states within Asgard. But that's neither here nor there. I mostly just wanted to have this here because it just seemed more interesting to me. I sort of had a vision of this kingdom is basically falling apart, and so there could be a lot of interesting like political shenanigans happening here. You could have like all of the different people just trying to split from Iroquois at the same time. Maybe Iroquois and Rorestia are sort of still loyal to each other, and maybe the Marsh is, but the Protectorate and Aelia, maybe the Protectorate isn't getting protected, and they are upset about that, and they're trying to shift over to Vel. I also added this Dwarven Kingdom in the mountains here that's really small. Just thought it would make sense that the dwarves would be there. And yeah, that was basically it as far as the map is concerned. I also did some work on sort of the writing side, trying to figure out who the villains of the campaign would worship, because I thought that would be really important for them, because they're going to be gaining like powers and boons based off of what deity they follow. But I also realized really quickly that I don't know the rules and the laws surrounding using Pathfinder as the rules system for a third-party campaign. I was rapidly because Pathfinder has its own world of Galoran, and I didn't know, wait a minute, if I'm coming up with my own countries and my own world, but using their gods and their rule set, I realized I didn't know how publishing this would work, especially since I'm assuming it's it's gonna be Pathfinder First Edition, not Pathfinder Second Edition. So that kind of, not gonna lie, that kind of discouraged me. But over the course of this, I thought, well, I'm still in a game-making mood. What can I do? And I realized I have another system that I was working on. Some of you might remember a meme that was going around on, I think it was Tumblr, which is an awful site, but it bleeds over into video sometimes, and there was this meme going around about how there was an RPG with the stats of gumption, chutzpah, moxie, childlike wonder, the cut of my jib, and a certain je ne sais quoi. Yeah, I decided to make it, because I have no chill. And so I had already started on this a little bit, but I finalized what each of the stats represented and what they paralleled to the system that I am blatantly stealing from, and then proceeded to write out all the skills that would make sense for the campaign setting, and then I added the fate system of aspects and tied it to the luck stat equivalent. And also, I came up with some ideas for how to combine the fate point system, where you can compel aspects and use aspects and make shifts in the world, with the luck system, where you can use points to give yourself bonuses on rolls and things like that. I think I'm going to instead have it be where you can... like the most common use is using your je ne sais quoi to add a dice to your to whatever skill check you're making, and or possibly like sacrifice dice to gain a bonus on something, or I'm gonna give up a je ne sais quoi die and use one of my aspects to gain something, right? Very rarely will you get like 2 dice, I don't think trading 1 dice for 2 dice. Although if you trade 1 dice for 2 dice based on an aspect, I think that could work. Look at me figuring things out while I'm recording. Man, I'm so good at this. Anyway, so yeah, this was the other thing I was really working on, and one of the reasons why it kind of it jumped out at me is because I'm going to have to build the entire system from the ground up. I say from the ground up. I'm going to have to build the entire system rather than trying to publish and piggyback off of an already pre-built system. So it may be easier because you don't have to skirt laws and get licensing and whatever in order to pull it off. But it might not. We don't know. Especially since I am sort of like taking a pre-existing system and stealing it for my own purposes. I might have to adjust numbers to make everything seem like more sane. But yeah. Oh, I also sort of solidified more of the air quotes races. I don't know if I want all these races in, but part of me really wants to have like fairies, elves, and dwarves, and then animal folk and satyrs. I'm not sure if I'm going to include trolls. I might, but I kind of want a really big burly race, but we don't necessarily have to do that. Maybe the trolls are bear people. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Anyway, point is, this is what I worked on. And still not closer to getting anything done. But we in fact did something over the course of the 2 weeks. So now that that is done, I am going to be working really hard to try to output some videos for for the company that I went down to the conference with. And that way I can get paid, which would be really nice. But I am now back. There won't be any more travel, so hopefully we'll be back to the once-a-week video thing, and we're not going to have 2 weeks of very small update. And maybe I can actually take the time and spend one of these videos to talk some more shop and or theory and or ideas and brainstorm and like kind of get into the more meaty depth, in-depth sort of things of what I'm thinking about, why I'm thinking about it, and that whole thing. So, anyway, look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks.